I'm also very grateful to have interviewed Level-Headed William and Dell to understand about the upward vector. But the life continues on. We're going to have to continue on with this search for the truth. I have to be my own man. I have to go and learn from anybody and everybody out there. Okay. That is my journey. Okay. I don't hold anybody up on a pedestal and say, oh, they're above me, but I am grateful for the research and the work that they have done. I want to throw that out there. The other thing that I also want to highlight is the people who are at Discord. I give a lot of respect for the people at the Discord, many hours. JC23, Amanda, Andrew, Skilly, you guys have I'm very grateful for you guys being there in Discord to help me to better understand about the upward vector, okay, over the months, okay. Obviously, you guys know that I'm not very active over there anymore. I tend to put a lot of like obsessive energy into Discord and these kind of VC, and then I get burnt out. Okay, no hatred towards anybody. Okay, I don't want to hold on to the negativity and anything like that. Yes, I'm a little bit on the sensitive side. I can admit that, and just the way that things kind of like things the way things were handled over on Dell's channel, like those people who are in the know, that I wasn't in agreement with that. I will be back probably at some point and just to hang out with everybody once, I have things a little bit settled. But for now, I need to like spend some time on my own. I got a lot of work. I worked nearly 40 hours already this week, which is good. I put in the obligated time and then I'm earning a little bit on top extra. So that's good for me. But that also, and then on top of that, there's like, my own channel that I need to put a focus on and other things I need to focus on. So look, I just want to say, everybody, I have respect and love for all of you guys. And you guys have, helped me to have a better understanding of where I am now. Okay. So just want to throw that out there. And another thing I want to clarify is that I have no interest in creating a a division, so-called division within the community. What I have what I have interest in is having an authentic discussion about any of the topics that we care about. Some people don't want to talk about history. That's fine. I'll find people that I can resonate with who can talk about history with me. Some people may not want to talk about the Mandela effect. That's fine. I will go and talk to people who also resonate with me about the Mandela effect. That's not a problem. Some people may not want to talk about the upward vector. So I'll go and talk to people who care about the upward vector. I think it's great that people have coalesced to a certain group of people based on their interest, and that's where their focus is. And I like to kind of rub shoulders with very different groups who care about different subjects. That's me. Okay. I cannot be labeled or pinned down to this one subject alone. Okay. Because I have to be very independent and, not to make excuses for myself, but I don't really work well in a hierarchy because like, it's just not part of my personality. I have this oppositional defiance syndrome where when somebody places themselves up on like a pedestal, like up on an authoritative position, I like, because of my ego, I want to like bring them down. It's not healthy. Okay, it's not healthy, right? So just want to let that be known that that's where I'm at, and I don't want to burn bridges. Okay, I really do not. Even though there are going to be people who are going to disagree with each other about the accelerating upward vector versus the constant velocity upward vector, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. So I'm going to share some videos. Most of these videos are coming from Jason's channel, Rising Earth, and I want to play them, and I want you to be understanding of why I can't just accept constant velocity. Okay, I'll say that much. Okay, and it's okay. Like, I don't hate you for being a stationary flat earther. I don't hate you to be a constant velocity upward vector. To me, I think the upward vector conversation is very important, especially within the flat earth community, because it is the silver bullet that just fucking kills the globe and the stationary flat earth at the same time. And if more people actually spoke about this topic, I think, better off that we're going to be, in my opinion. Okay, that's why I like to talk about it, and I think it's something that needs to be talked about, personally speaking. Okay, so let me share some of these videos so that we have a kind of like a compiled understanding of why some of us can deal with this paradox. Okay, and I want to talk about it and talk on it though too. Okay, so let's start with this one.
The easiest example of an accelerometer is a spring. Yes, a plain, boring spring. Suppose you put a spring into outer space, empty space, flat space. It'll have some extension. Now, if you tie that spring to a rocket and that rocket blasts off, what's going to happen with the spring? It'll expand so long as the velocity of the rocket changes. Why is that?
Okay, so I think it's important that people understand what she just said. The spring will change as long as what? The velocity of the rocket changes. The velocity of the rocket changes, which is acceleration. Okay, so that has to be well understood. Okay, can we listen to that again?
To a rocket and that rocket blasts off, what's going to happen with the spring? It'll expand so long as the velocity of the rocket changes.
Okay, if the velocity changes, which is acceleration, then the spring will expand. Okay, I hope everybody's on the same page.
Why is that? Well, as Newton taught us, force equals mass times acceleration. So if you accelerate one end of the spring, that creates a force, and that force stretches the spring. You can measure how much it stretches, and from that, you can calculate how much it will.
Yes, force equals ma. And the globies will constantly throw this at you. Force equals ma. And they talk about the downward acceleration. Okay. And we're going to checkmate them relatively soon. But these videos are going to be played in the order in which I have compiled them, because I think it makes better sense later on. Okay. I'm not going to dwell on this too long, but I think it's important for people to understand where I am coming from.
Was accelerated. This example tells us three very important things. First, you can use a spring to measure acceleration. It's not the only way to do it, and maybe not even a particularly good one, but it works, and acceleration is measurable. Second,
okay, acceleration is measurable. Okay, and it's a way to measure acceleration.
You cannot, of course, use the spring to measure the velocity of the rocket, because velocity in and of itself is a meaningless concept.
Okay, velocity in itself is a meaningless concept, according to her. Okay.
Can only talk about relative velocities, not absolute ones. This brings us to the third and most important point that we learn from the spring. Acceleration is not relative, it's absolute. You can measure how much you're accelerated, for example, with that spring, and you can tell when you're not accelerated.
Smartphones come equipped with accelerometers. If you fire up an app that shows you the data from the accelerometer, like this one, you will notice something. It shows about 9.81 meters per second squared upwards. Here I'm moving the phone to show which axis is which on the screen. So your smartphone believes that you are constantly accelerating upwards. Why? Let's look at how an accelerometer works. A simplest one would just be a weight suspended on identical springs. No acceleration, and it will just hang there in.
Okay, I mean, obviously, if it's like, hung on a spring on all sides and it was like, out in space, obviously this little square in the middle would be not pulled, quote unquote, pulled in any direction or pushed in any direction, right? So this is how an accelerometer is more or less built. It's springs, it's a bunch of springs.
In the middle. If you accelerate it, the weight will get pulled in the direction opposite to the acceleration, and you can measure the deflection and figure out the acceleration from there. The accelerometer shows an acceleration upwards because it is accelerating upwards. Okay.
I mean, that's a pretty big deal. I mean, what did he just say? What did he just say?
And you can measure the deflection and figure out the acceleration from there. The accelerometer shows an acceleration upwards.
Accelerometer is showing acceleration upwards because it is upward acceleration.
Because it is accelerating upwards.
It is accelerating upwards.
Okay, but there is a bit of an issue with this, isn't there? Consider two people, one in Spain and one in New Zealand. On a globe, those two would be on the exact opposite sides of Earth. If both of them were accelerating upwards, they would be accelerating away from each other, so the distance between them would have to start growing at some point. But as far as we can tell, the distance between Spain and New Zealand is, well, fairly constant. The spherical model of the Earth have to be wrong.
Yeah, so like how the fuck are you going to be accelerating upwards on a globe or have any kind of upward vector on a globe? Done deal. You know it, I know it, everybody else understands and knows that just the same. So what the fuck, right? So what the fuck? All right, let's take a look at another video from here.
For this test, we are going to look at your weight. We have two claim causes for your weight. We have constant motion, and we have acceleration. With the constant motion claim, your weight must be proportional to the velocity. This means that if you increase the velocity of the upwards motion, your weight must also increase.
Okay, so again, like the claim is constant velocity, because what? And I believe that to be the case for a very long time, but now my mind is shifting, right? Am I 100% over there? No, but I am open-minded about it, and I'm showing you why I think the way I do, and I think there's truth to it. So like the claim is that we have constant weight because it can only be achieved through constant velocity. That's a claim, right? Now, we have to take a maybe we need more demonstrations and experimentations to prove or disprove that. But Jason here has done a little bit of work. So let's see what he has to show for us. Okay, that was constant velocity. Okay, is there a shift in weight at constant velocity? Yes or no? The answer is no. There's no change in weight at constant velocity. It remains at 6. It was at 6, and it remains at 6.
With the acceleration claim, your weight must be proportional to the rate of acceleration. This means that an increase in the rate of acceleration will increase your weight.
Okay, so if you're increasing the acceleration, then your weight should increase in proportion, right? There's supposed to be a correspondence between the increase in acceleration and increase in weight. That's a claim, right? That's a claim. Okay, so that was constant acceleration. And did the weight increase? No, it did not. But the refute can be, well, we should do that over 100 meters, and then it should be going from 0 to 100 miles, and then let's see, how. Okay, I agree. So let's do more tests. Let's see, how much of it is true and how much is not true. I am all for people doing more demonstrations, and let's compile more data to, come to these conclusions and see whether or not it holds water. That's just the way I'm looking at it. And I think anybody who is doing these demonstrations, Andrew, William, and Jason as well, Dell, I give respect to them because they're actually going and doing things, but I'm not going to denounce anybody from, making an observation that makes sense to them. So I think if people want cohesiveness, we gotta like start accepting that people think differently about things, and then see what the commonalities that we do have with each other, if that's what the intention is. If the intention is to create bridges, we need to be open-minded and have open-minded discussions with people, if that's the intention. If you want to stay in a camp, then you have to refute the claims and uphold your claims. Simple as that. And if that cannot be achieved, then we have to let go of things that is not demonstrated. I mean, that's who we are. If we are, quote unquote, demonstrable realists, then we have to concede on points that may not have been true, that we upheld. And that goes for everybody. Nobody's exempt. Truth is above all. Truth is above all. Okay? Satya nasti paro dharmaha, right? There is no religion above truth.
This simple test clearly shows that acceleration causes weight, and constant motion has no effect on weight whatsoever. Once again, this thoroughly debunks the constant motion claim.
Okay. So let's take a look at another video. Okay. Let's see. Yes, here. I start from here. Okay. I'm going to start from here.
People that are claiming acceleration, like Ken, he claims that the Earth is moving up, but it's constantly accelerating. So I don't know where the fuck he gets that claim from, because obviously our weight will have to be increasing, into infinity.
Okay, so William is saying like he doesn't know where Ken gets this claim from. And he's saying obviously if there's constant acceleration, then our weight would be increasing for to infinity. That is a claim, William. Okay, I'm gonna have to tell you. I respect you. I respect Natalie as well. You guys been really amazing, and I have tremendous amount of like respect for your family. I hope everybody is doing well. But I'm gonna have to, push back a little bit and ask you to reassess and think about what is being presented here. Okay, you're making a claim. You're making a claim, and you and Dell and a lot of the other upward vector people are making a claim, and that needs to be demonstrated. If you are saying that constant acceleration is going to increase our weight constantly, right? There's a correlation there, then that has to be shown. Okay. And then I am more than willing to concede at any time if that is beyond any reasonable doubt. But until that time, I want to give space for people like Jason and Rusted Soul, Ken. I don't know who Ken is. I have never spoken with Ken, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's a genuine individual, and Jimmy Too Fast as well. Who else? And these people like Jimmy, he called me a shill. He said that I have no integrity. I played his video. He was apologetic to me, and we are okay. I don't have anything against Jimmy. And there are a lot of like flat earthers who came around and basically said that I'm an idiot, I'm a shill because I am promoting the upward vector. To me, it was important for me to put my name and my reputation out there to support the upward vector. Now I am doing that again for the people who are being ostracized in that community, like Rusted Soul, like Jason, okay? And somebody needs to stand up and say something because it could be easily you, us, who are upward vector people. We're being ostracized by the stationary flat earthers, no different. Why? Because they're afraid to be open-minded about it, okay? Same thing. We should be supportive of the people who think a little bit differently and allow them to speak their mind and give them space to be able to speak their mind and show what they have to present. That's all. Okay. That doesn't mean you have to be friends with them, but at least give people the opportunity to speak their or exercise their freedom of speech. In my personal opinion, you do you, but I still respect you, William. I still respect Natalie. You guys are amazing people. Okay. You guys have good integrity. And but I'm gonna have to push back, and I'm not perfect either. I have said things, that you guys probably don't agree with, and I get it. William, that you may not like me because I talk about history or the Mandela effect or some other topics that are not, objective, and that's fine. We don't have to have that commonality with each other. Like we can meet where we can meet, and I learned a lot from you guys though too over the past year, and I hope you come back to flat earth or the upward vector, and I hope that we can continue on with this discussion. Okay, this is me telling everybody, hey, look, if we want to work with each other, we need to figure out a way to work with each other. Okay, I'm willing to do it if you guys are
Actually claiming that it's a constant acceleration. And to me, they're either dumb, like dumb as fuck, or they're literally deliberately just muddying the waters.
All right, here's the setup. It's just a NEMA 23 stepper motor with 24-volt power supply, Arduino stepper motor controller. It's programmed to a constant rate of acceleration for the stepper motor. Attached to a braided fishing line spool up to a pulley down to a scale with a little proof mass on it, a little socket, a little phone to record the weight as it goes up at a constant acceleration.
I constantly accelerate up the way. I get a constant increase in weight, constant increase in weight, constant increase.
Okay, so okay, here's another video. Let's watch this one.
The ground that I'm standing on doesn't have a velocity. The idea of velocity is meaningless. There's no such thing as absolute velocity. The only thing we know for sure is that the distance between the two things is getting smaller at an accelerating rate. We don't know the velocity of the ground, and we don't know the velocity of the rock, because those are meaningless statements. If you want to talk about acceleration, then you should equip both objects with accelerometers, because there is such a thing as absolute acceleration. You can measure acceleration, as I said in the chat. Your gut is an accelerometer. It feels happy when it's being supported from below. When it isn't being supported from below, you wake up in a sweat because you know you're falling. It's an accelerometer. It tells you
9.8 meters per second squared, okay, is a constant acceleration. 9.8, that's a parabolic thing. And the thing is, it is true that, people, I can understand the intuitive, desire to not accept that, because it's like, wow, shit, that means that we're going from fucking 9.8 meters per second, and it goes to 10 meters to 100 meters in a matter of seconds, to thousands of meters per second. And then if there's infinite amount of space, then it means that we're going to go to light speed, warp 10, ludicrous speed, you name it. That's what could be happening. Who the fuck am I or you to say that that is not happening? Just because that is, that is beyond our ability to comprehend. It could very well be possible. Who the fuck knows? We can only know what is happening, what is measurable. That is what is measured. 9.8 meters per second squared. Okay, we understand the implication of that, but just because we come to a conclusion, well, that's not possible because I can't conceive ludicrous speed, and it's like light speed on top of light speed, and we could be going, ludicrous speed. So fucking what? If that is what the fuck the measurement is showing, then that's what the measurement is. We know that there is no downward vector. That's plain and simple. Are you at that point yet or not? Okay, catch up. Okay, now the next thing is that it is measuring 9.8 meters per second squared. That sounds fucked up, but it is what it is, whether you like it or not.
You what your acceleration is. Now, it doesn't have a readout like a real accelerometer does, but you can put an accelerometer on the ground and it will tell you that you're accelerating upward at 9.8 meters per second squared. Make of that what you will.
Yeah, make that up.
I can tell you what that means in general relativity. Put that same accelerometer on the rock and it will tell you that the rock is not accelerating.
Does physics deal with reality?
Absolutely. When reality collides with our theory, reality wins.
So physics it deals with what happens physically in reality, and you don't know.
Absolutely. It's all about what nature does.
All right, one more video.
Force makes an object fall, and that the acceleration of gravity really is upwards. I've loaded my phone with an accelerometer app and attached it to a camera. Here are the axes of this setup, X, Y, and Z. When I accelerate the system in the positive direction along an axis, I get a positive acceleration reading in that direction. Sitting on a surface, it says that it's accelerating at 1 g, 9.8 meters per second squared. Yet, unlike a car speeding up, it isn't going anywhere. Now let's see what happens when I drop it. It registers 0 acceleration as it's falling. Newton's second law of motion says that force equals mass times acceleration. So, if the acceleration measurement is 0, then any measurable forces acting on the phone must also be 0.
Boom, right there. When you drop the accelerometer and there's no, if it's a 0, then there's no force. Force is 0. So downward acceleration does not exist. Simple as that. There's no downward acceleration. Wow, boom, my mind is blown. Okay?
Gravity must not be a force that causes the phone to fall to the floor.
Gravity cannot be a force that causes the phone to fall onto the floor, because when the accelerometer is dropped, it measures 0. It measures 0. So what does it mean? The upward vector is the ground meeting up to the phone. That's what's happening. Okay? So upward acceleration is measurable because that's what the phone is measuring, but downward acceleration is not measured. It's 0. So there is no downward force. Simple as that. This is so straightforward to me. I don't know about you guys, okay? And I'm hoping that enough people with honesty can look at this and be like, holy shit, this is something. This is big. This is big within the flat earth community. What Dell presented to us, and I'm not saying that he, takes the credit for because I think other people probably have thought about it in the history, but in the iteration of our time within the flat earth community, you needed a strong, stubborn, Scottish personality like Dell, who was able to hold this and be able to share this information with everybody. Okay. Now we are talking about the constant acceleration rather than the constant velocity, which is also an important topic, right? And I think other individuals like Jason and Rusted and Ken, I don't know Ken, but I want to give them space at least to be able to have this conversation. Okay. It's a paradox. It's a paradox. But one thing that we can all agree with each other is the fact that there is no downward acceleration, which means that the Earth cannot possibly be quote unquote stationary, right? That's why a lot of people are a little bit upset, including myself, that people are hand wave dismissing this and saying that it is an insane straw man. This is the thing to talk about. Okay. Okay. We don't need division within the upward vector community. Okay. You can disagree, and you have to contend with this. You have to contend with what this video is saying.
Floor. Now let's show that the acceleration of gravity is upwards, not downwards. If we simply lift the phone, the reading is always greater, not less than 1 g. Upward linear acceleration is in the same direction as gravitational acceleration. Well, maybe you're thinking that the calibration is arbitrary, and accelerometers could just as easily be calibrated to show gravity as a downward pulling force. But
oh, yeah. So I think this is an important point for people to get it through their thick skulls. Oh, they're just calibrated in this way, or it doesn't, they're just built that way. It's actually downward acceleration, but they're just built in a way so that it registers as 1 g when it's resting on the ground. Okay. Well, then
here's mine on a rotating wheel. It's correctly registering a centripetal acceleration in the positive x direction toward the center. An accelerometer recalibrated for downward force gravity would not accurately measure centripetal acceleration. So it would be pretty useless for an engineer. It would also be useless in deep space.
I mean, it will be just useless in general, not just for engineers. It just wouldn't do what it is supposed to do if you recalibrate it to do something different than what it's supposed to be doing. Okay, so it is doing exactly what it is designed for. It is measuring acceleration in different directions, and resting on the ground shows that there is a 9.8 meters per second squared acceleration up the way. Okay, so quicker that we start to think about this, and then people are going to be, I know where people are going to go with it. It's like, well, that's not possible because we couldn't possibly be constantly accelerating at 9.8 meters per second square, because that would mean that we would go to ludicrous speed in no time, light speed in no time. Yeah, that would imply that, but we don't know what the fuck is happening outside the reference frame, do we now? Okay, we can only measure what is happening here. Okay, so like what is it? What is this world made of? I have no idea. I'm not going to make any fucking positive claims about it, but I need to get this off my chest. I need to fucking be able to, like, talk about this like comfortably. Now I feel like, okay, it's important that I have it out there. I can feel like authentic. I'm not going against anybody. I'm not putting anybody down. So I'm in the right frame of mind of being able to present this information, which is, I think, is as important as the upward vector. Okay. And, like, in order for us to find some cohesiveness, we need to let this like sit and simmer, and we need to digest it. Okay.
You don't need to be Einstein to see that gravity is not a force that makes things fall, and that the acceleration actually is upward. You just need an accelerometer app. Checkmate.
Check and mate. Sorry. Okay. That is the truth of the matter, whether you like it or not.